found a strange vehicle in the woods. I'm a mechanic at a store that sell and repair motorsport vehicles in Colorado. Motorsports are very popular in my area, and there are many ATV trails around my area. My passion with motorcycles and ATVs began in the Christmas of 1994. I remember unwrapping a present from my uncle, and it was a Jungle Runner from Jurassic Park Series 2. After the success of Jurassic Park toy line in 1993, they created a new series of Jurassic Park toys the following year with updated action figures that looked more like the actors, new characters, new dinosaurs with restraint accessories, and new vehicles. The Jungle Runner was a bulky quad-like vehicle. It had a firing grappling hook and removable backlights to simulate a dinosaur attacking the ATV. It was my favorite toy from my childhood, and I have had many memories with characters riding it, trying to capture or escape from dinosaurs. Because I liked the toy so much, I started to research on ATVs, and I read books about them. Throughout my childhood, whenever my class went to the school library to pick a book, I always picked books about motorcycles or ATVs. This led to people at school calling me the ATV professor, and I was proud of that title. Some kids in the grade above bullied me because of my passion. They would throw books while I'm reading them and harass me on the bus. One day a bully started to rip out pages of my book I was reading. I was enraged, punched him in the jaw, and got him injured. I was suspended for a few days, but ever since that incident, people haven't bullied me since. On my 10th grade birthday, I got my very first dirt bike with the proper equipment included. I liked playing video games, but I spent less time playing games and spent most of my free time driving through dirt paths in the woods in my area. When I was 16, I worked at a local supermarket and saved money to buy a quad. The dirt bike I used to ride is now too small, and I wanted a new experience. When I eventually bought the quad, I ended up liking it more than the dirt bike I had growing up. And it made me think of the Jungle Runner I used to play with. This caused my passion to increase. Riding on a real quad, essentially school became a mechanic. I went to high school and became a mechanic working at the motorsports vehicle shop. At this point, I owned several ATVs and currently lived near a forest with dirt roads. One day I was given a day off work, so I took out my buggy, the Polaris RZR, into the nearby woods. As I zoomed through the dirt road, I noticed that there was a new ATV trail that went deeper into the forest. I got excited and decided to go into the trail and explore. This trail was much bumpier than the trails I usually go to. As I looked around, I found out that the path transitioned into a rocky trail. I continued down the trail and started to go faster. I always found it thrilling when going on a bumpy ride with the wind blowing against me. As I accelerated, I accidentally bumped into a large rock and flew off the buggy. I tumbled down a hill and hit my head against a tree. Luckily, I had my protective gear on me, and I was uninjured. I looked around the trail, was nowhere to be seen. I tried to climb my way up the steep hill, but I kept sliding back down. Frustrated, I decided to walk around the hill to see if there was a safer way out. This is when I noticed an abandoned large shed covered in moss and leaves. I decided to walk towards it out of curiosity. I didn't know what I would find, but I wanted to explore this place. As I approached it, I noticed a small window with two big wooden doors. I entered the old structure, and I found a light switch. When I turned on the lights, I was I saw an old ATV covered in leaves, and spare parts were displayed on a wall. There were tables and all kinds of tools piled up, empty paint cans, and a mysterious photo of a young child. When I brushed the leaves off the vehicle, I was surprised at what I saw. It appeared to be a quad, but it didn't look like any known model or brand. However, it looked like earlier familiar, the ATV must have been heavily customized because the design was very dynamic. The front of the quad was very bulky and almost tank-like. Black ropes were tied around the front. There were no headlights, but instead there were lights attached to the roll bar behind the seat. A fake grappling hook launcher was attached on the top of the lights. Each side of the vehicle there were metal flaps. My only guess was to protect the rider from falling off. Then there was a huge ribcage like grind attached to the right side of the quad. The grid was on a hinge and it could be folded down. There were even some built-in computer modules, but they were very old and didn't function. The undercarriage was jet black and had 4 gray wheels. The vehicle upper parts were all painted in a dark green color with Baja stripes on it. That's when I noticed I was able to figure out why it looked familiar. It was a recreation of the Jungle Runner I used to play with as a kid. Whoever built this must have really liked the Jungle Runner, like I did. I could tell that a lot of effort was put into the vehicle. But what was its purpose? Was it going to be taken to an ATV show? Why would something like this be left in an abandoned shed? I searched the shed for keys and I found it under a desk drawer. I tried starting the quad, but it didn't work. I then noticed the same parts of the engine got worn out from the old age. Luckily, I was able to quickly repair it, with the spare parts and tools lying around. Just then, I was about to start the engine. I heard a faint laugh of a child coming from behind me. I looked around, but saw nobody. I just assumed that there was kids playing in the backyard or in the woods. I was finally able to start the engine and use the quad. Started the engine and used the quad to go up the hill. I was surprised at how well I was able to run it. I then noticed a date printed near the handlebars, 1994. For something that old, this thing was very fast. I was able to go where I crashed my buggy. It had very minor and easily repairable damage. With the headlights, I tied a rope around the back of my buggy, and I was able to pull the quad back to my house. I have a large garage where I can store multiple ATVs as well as my small car. I was able to store the quad inside with my other ATVs, and it stood out from the others with that crazy design. Once I got into my house, I took a shower and spent the rest of the day watching TV. Later that night, I woke up at 12 at midnight and started to hear what sounded like a child crying. Confused, I turned on the lights in my house and looked for a source of the sound. I looked everywhere, but I couldn't find the source. Then I decided to check the garage. As I walked towards the garage, the crying increasingly got louder. However, when I turned on the lights and opened the door, the crying stopped. "Is someone there?" I asked, and there was no response. But when I turned the lights off and closed the door and headed upstairs, the crying returned. I instantly went back to the garage. This time I searched the area and looked in every possible spot a child could be hiding. I found nobody. So I once again turned the lights off and left the garage. Like earlier, the crying came back as soon as I headed upstairs. This cycle repeated until it was 1 a.m. and I finally went back to sleep. When I woke up, I just assumed what happened was a dream. I searched the garage again and found no trace of anybody there. Just to be safe, I installed a security camera in my garage. The next day I checked the camera footage and my stomach dropped from what I saw at exactly 12 midnight. A childlike figure appeared, hovering on the top of the quad I found in the shed. The figure uncontrollably cried while hovering above the vehicle, and at 1 a.m., the figure disappeared. This happened 4 nights in a row. I decided to go back to the shed where I found the vehicle for answers. As I looked around, I noticed a newspaper article with a picture of the same boy I found on the photo. It was a very long article, but here is a summary of it. The child in the paper is Jack Romero. He was diagnosed with lung cancer and liked to play with toys people donated while he was at the hospital. One of the toys he got was the Jungle Runner. and he absolutely adored it. His father, John Romeo, wanted to recreate the toy by customizing a used quad that he possessed. John wanted to surprise his son on his 7th birthday with the recreated Jungle Runner. He planned on riding it with Jack on his birthday and lending it to him when he got old enough. Unfortunately, Jack passed away 8 days before his birthday. John and his wife, Mara, were devastated. John took Jack's lifeless body to the shed where he was working on the project. Out of sheer sadness, John killed himself, leaving Jack's corpse in the shed. Both bodies were recovered and were properly buried. After reading this, I felt sorry for the family. I took the photo of Jack with me to my house and set up a little shed in my backyard dedicated for him and the vehicle. I made it into a little shrine for him, put the photo in the frame on top of the shelf, and did this to give the boy some respect. Just as I left the shed and closed the doors, I heard a friendly laugh coming from inside. I still own the ATV to this day and go out in the woods sometimes. I take Jack's photo with me whenever I use the buggy. And instead of hearing weeping coming from the shed at night from midnight to 1, it is now replaced with soft laughter. Hey guys, Panda 6.7. Hope y'all enjoyed this story. One of my subscribers sent this story in to me, and I found it pretty interesting. So here I am. I just read it to you. It's pretty good story, I gotta admit. It started off a little freaky, and then it kind of evened out in the end. Kind of a little upsetting too. But yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed it. I saw a tech did. So, yep, stay tuned, guys. More stories in the way, and more sorts for the Skinwalker. Thank y'all.